As of 2020, the population of India is around 138 crores. So these 138 crore people in India speak various languages and belong to various religions. For example, in this map, we can see that the states that are marked in red have a majority of population that speak Hindi, while the other states speak various regional languages such as Tamil, Telugu, Bengali, Oriya, Punjabi, Marathi, etc. And on this side, we see the religion map according to which the states that are marked in orange have a Hindu majority population, and the states that are marked in the other different colors have a considerable number of people belonging to different religions, even though some of them still might be Hindu majority states. Hence, we see that the states of India are diverse in their religion and languages. And also the people of India differ in their cultures and customs. For example, there are various art forms such as music and dance in these different states. And also they have different food eating habits, customs, traditions, etc. So sometimes when we might move from one state to another, or even within certain states, we might feel that it's an entirely new country. But even in this huge diversity, the people of India are united. In the Constitution of India, we talk about fraternity, which means that there is a sense of brotherhood among the people of the country. In India, we have unity in diversity. So if there's a cricket match or a football match in which India is playing, all of the citizens of India unite and cheer for Team India. Similarly, when India is represented at the Olympics, the citizens of India do not cheer for the individual states from which these participants hail, but for the country as a whole. So we can see that even if there are differences in the country, the citizens of the country are still united. But in such a situation, can we hope for one person to understand the tradition, culture and thought process of each of these individual states? No, right? So similarly, we cannot expect all of these people to be governed by the same person or by the same government which is at the center. Well, the constitutional makers also felt the same. That is why they arranged for a federal setup in India. So, in a federal setup in India or a federal form of government, we have two sets of government. That is, in a federal setup in India, there is a dual government. In India, we have a government at the central level or the national level. This is known as the national government, the union government or the central government. This government governs the entire nation. And along with that, we have another set of government at the individual states. So the states that make up the country have their individual state governments. However, the Constitution of India doesn't define India as a federal country or a federation. The Constitution says that India, that is Bharat, shall be a union of states. It means that there will be individual states, but since it says that it will be a union of states, it means that all the states will together be united under a national government. So, India is a union of states. Now that we've understood that in India there is a federal setup or a federal form of government, let us talk about the features of this federal setup. So, the federal features of India. Firstly, as we have said, there is a dual government. There are two sets of government. So, the government of the whole nation is the union government or the national government, and the governments of the individual states are called the state governments. So, in India we have a central government or a union government which governs the entire country, and we have state governments in the federal states of India. Now, since there are two sets of government, every person in India is also governed by two sets of laws. So, for example, if you stay in Maharashtra, you have to follow the law system or the laws that are set up in Maharashtra. But as you are a citizen of India, you have to also abide the laws that are set up by the central government or the Union of India. So, one person in India follows two sets of laws. Laws by the state in which he is residing and laws by the central authority of India. Secondly, since there are two sets of government, powers have to be demarcated between these two sets of government. So, powers such as administrative powers, financial powers, executive powers, these powers are divided between the union government and the state governments. So, in a federal setup, there is a division of the legislative, executive and financial powers between the national and the state governments. So, since the union government is at the national level, it deals with matters of national importance, such as the defense of the country or formulating the foreign policies of the country. These are matters that are dealt by the union government, while the state governments deal with matters within the state. So, matters such as agriculture in a state or the police in a state, which deals with maintaining law and order within the state. So, the powers are demarcated or divided between the central government and the state governments. In a federal setup, the constitution has to be a written constitution. Since there is a division of powers between the central and state governments, it is necessary that those are given in writing, so that no central government or the state governments can overpower each other. So, in a federal setup, there is a written constitution and that constitution is supreme. The division of powers between the union and the state governments are clearly mentioned in the constitution. So, in India, we have a written constitution which is also the lengthiest constitution in the world. This is because our constitution clearly divides powers between the central government and the state governments. The central governments and the state governments have been given individual powers and the power to act in different circumstances. But the state governments and the union governments work in coordination to administer law and order in the whole country. Now we have seen that the written constitution demarcates powers between the central and the state governments. But what if there is a dispute? What if the central government infringes on the right of the state governments, or if the state governments overpower or try to overpower the central government? In such a case, who will solve or resolve these disputes? Well, that is done by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is the highest judicial authority in the country. The Supreme Court is the final interpreter and guardian of the Constitution, which settles disputes between the central and the state governments. So, whenever there is an issue or a problem, a dispute between the central government and the state governments or between different state governments, such disputes are taken care of by the Supreme Court. Now let us imagine that there has been a lot of deaths in hospitals across the country due to shortage of oxygen and shortage of beds in the hospitals. This problem is being faced by a lot of hospitals throughout the country of India. In such a situation, who is responsible for taking care of this issue? Is it the union government or the state governments? Yes, it will be the union government, since it is an issue which is being faced by a majority of people throughout the whole country of India. The union government or the national government, which is the government at the center, will take care of this issue. However, let us imagine that a forest land in a particular state of India is being burnt and cleared out because a factory will be set up. There are a lot of protests going on in the area because the inhabitants of the area believe that this will lead to a lot of natural disasters such as floods and droughts. In this case, who will be responsible for seeing to this issue? Will it be the union government or the state governments? Yes, it will be the state government. So because the issue is being faced in an area of a particular state, the national government or the union government doesn't have to intervene, and it is the state government which will take over this issue. So as we can see, the national government and the state governments have powers over different issues depending on the importance of the issue, whether it concerns the citizens of the whole nation or whether it concerns the citizens of that particular state. So countries which have a huge population or have a diverse range of people such as India, USA, Canada, etc. have the need and requirement for federal type of government. So a federal setup helps in addressing the wide variety of needs of people of a geographically large country. The federal setup has an advantage that the state governments that are set up in the individual states of the country have the ability to understand better the needs, demands and thought process of the people of that specific state. So since the central government has no true way of understanding the needs and demands of the people of each and every state of the country, the state governments at the component federal units can help in administering justice and carrying out law and order in those specific states. However, countries like Britain and France have a smaller population and thus do not have a federal setup. They are unitary states or countries in which there is a unitary setup. So in India, we have a federal setup or a federal type of governance in which powers are divided between the central or the union government and the state governments. But since the union government is there at the national level, it has an upper hand in the decisions that are taken in the country. The two types of governance together help in efficiently carrying out the administration in the country. So the division of powers between the central and the state governments ensures that the administration of both the nation and the states within the nation are efficiently carried out. So the central and the state governments have different bodies to make up laws. So they have different lawmaking bodies in the center and the states. The central government's lawmaking body is known as the parliament, and in the states we have the state legislatures. In our later videos, we will go into detail about the legislatures of the country. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon. You can also register for free at DeltaStep.com or download the DeltaStep app to get access to all our 5,000 plus amazing videos as per your school syllabus. Master each topic with our adaptive practice technology. Get million+ questions with step-by-step solutions and unlimited mock tests. Get all your doubts resolved instantly. Learn via games and win amazing prizes like PlayStations and iPads. So at DeltaStep, learning is not just fun and easy, it is rewarding too. So register for free now.